We do have a good-sized Vietnamese community here, so a lot of these flavors are like familiar, but we're just trying to add some depth to like the offerings. The food at Hi Hi is just highlighting some of the regional cuisine that doesn't necessarily make it on the menus. I just knew I needed to bring back some of those flavors to Minnesota. I've always loved cooking at home, but the first professional cooking that I ever did was at our food truck. Rick and I, my husband and business partner, we had opened our brick and mortar restaurant, and then we got the itch to open another restaurant. I was raised Vietnamese, French, so ate a lot of Vietnamese food growing up my whole life, and something that's just near and dear to my heart. And I was like, I really want to open a Southeast Asian spot, and also kind of highlight some of the food that we tried during our travels in Southeast Asia. Rick and I traveled for 3 to 4 months and just backpacked around and got to try all the different foods and experience all of that culture. Immediately there was a lot of inspiration for dishes. A lot of the flavors that jumped out at me were just the use of so many fresh herbs. Of course, lots of fish sauce and fun, stinky fish and shrimp things when we were in places like northern Thailand. And there were just the flavors of like coconut, lime leaf, lemongrass, ginger, all the things that like I love. When we were in Bali, we had tried this like amazing suckling pig roast that was called babi guling, and that was like one of my favorite dishes. So for years I was just kind of trying to like replicate it. Our Balinese chicken thigh is inspired by this suckling pig. It was such a delicious dish, but of course it's hard to replicate that here considering that we don't have like a giant fire pit and a cute guy to just sit there and like swab it for hours while it cooks. So instead we decided to kind of translate it into like a chicken thigh dish where we just marinate the chicken in kind of those same aromatics, like a lot of turmeric, ginger, lemongrass, and like coconut oil, lime leaf, and then we just grill it. And then the suckling pig had this amazing like crispy skin on it that was almost like candy. So to sort of like replicate that, we have a crispy chicken skin that we do instead. And then we just serve it with jasmine rice, which they would do, and then they would also have like a little vegetable mixture. So we have this kale and bean sprout salad that we put like some shallot and lime leaf and lime and coconut oil in and just sort of like macerate it. Water fern cakes always remind me of the best part of Vietnamese Sunday school, which was eating tasty snacks in the basement. I didn't really care much about church, but those water fern cakes were delicious. There would just be like some ladies that made them at the church, and then you just have these like styrofoam, like room temperature packs full of these bun bao, which is the water fern cake, and you just like eat them with fish sauce. Yeah, they were delicious. The water fern cakes are a comfort food to me just because they embody like all of the Vietnamese flavors and textures. We have like these steamed rice cakes, which kind of have a little bit of a gelatinous texture, but they're like steamed, and then we have mung bean on them and some like scallion oil, a little pork, some fried shallots, and a little Thai chili, and then we eat them with nuc cham, which is that fish sauce and lime juice kind of mixture. But I really feel like eating a bite of that reminds me of like childhood. It reminds me of just growing up, because yeah, we'd have those at like family gatherings too. So a dish that Burke and I had when we were in Hanoi that really stuck out was the turmeric dill fish. It's called chaka, and it's like a dish that they pretty much only make in the north. We had it while we were traveling over Christmas, and you know, it's tough when you're like not with your family, and we were like, what do we do? Let's go try this really fun special dish. Yeah, just the flavors stuck out as different because there's use of dill, which is like a really uncommon ingredient in Vietnam, and there was just like loads of it, like handfuls of dill and scallions, and they just like pan fry the fish in front of you. For our version, we take some Alaskan cod, we coat it in like some turmeric salt, we pan fry it in some turmeric oil, so lots of turmeric, and then of course just traditionally you throw in like an uncomfortable amount of dill and scallions and then just let that like barely cook. And then we serve that over some rice noodles and serve it with 2 different sauces, the Nuuk Jum fish sauce and then also a fun pineapple shrimp sauce. This has been like one of my favorite dishes, and then later on when my mom saw it on the opening menu for Hai Hai, she was like, oh, that used to be one of your grandpa's favorite dishes. I never got to make it for my grandpa, but it's just cool how food can connect us even to people who have passed away, and my favorite grandpa. The first time that I visited Southeast Asia, I think I was 19 or 20, I went backpacking alone for probably about 3 months. It was the first time that I had been there before, and so it was totally like a culture shock, but also amazing to get to visit the place that like my parents grew up. It felt like really strange, but also really familiar in ways. It was crazy. There's tons of Vietnamese restaurants here, but I was noticing that like there's a lot of dishes I tried over in Vietnam or in Thailand that didn't necessarily make it onto menus here, maybe just because people aren't familiar with it or because they're more labor intensive. Pretty much just the whole menu is just cooking food that I want to eat every day.